Welcome to RBPP Solutions YouTube video where we discuss matters of holistic health advocacy. We're going to talk about social services, social justice, restorative justice, any type of perspective on how our society can improve in relationship with others, and basically my analysis of things that are happening and transpiring in our society. So a couple of weeks ago, maybe like two, I live in Chicago, so we had the Bantu Fest, and one of the things I'm loving about Chicago is the um, remembering of our African identity and understanding that the African identity is multifaceted and that it is a melting pot within itself. So I don't have to be in conflict with my American identity and my African identity because as an African American, Indigenous American, Black American, it is okay for me to figure things out and how what my identity looks like and what feels good to me. And I'm happy that we have cultural events like the Bantu Fest that is administrating cultural awareness. I'm gonna let this go by. City girl. Yeah, bringing cultural awareness to what Black culture looks like in different levels, whether you migrated here, whether you was born and raised here, having a connection with each other in that way. Um, I will start off with this because I wouldn't be myself if I wasn't. I am going to critique the Bantu Fest in the city of Chicago and those who spearheaded the event, because one of the things that is always talked about in Chicago is that the youth needs something to do. The youth ain't got nothing to do, and that's why we have the levels of crime, which I already know how I feel about that. But the narratives that the youth is the one creating the crime, which man, we need to eradicate that shit out of our fucking head. But anyway, if you're charging $30 at the gate for an event that is so important to the cultural awareness of what the Black identity is in the city of Chicago, and you expect the youth to be able to afford that, you are out of your mind. And um, it is toxic capitalism ideology to think that a child should have to financially uh, provide for themselves in order to have access to culture, especially their culture. So the Bantu Fest was filled with vendors who were Black-owned businesses who were vending out, the things that are representative of our culture, like different shea butters, different oils, different African attire, different blends of clothes that rep that you're from Chicago. And just even as an adult, I felt some type of way to have to pay to have access to small businesses in order to support them. And so, well, these are private events. Why are we not creating policy in the city of Chicago that encourages the preservation of Black American identity? We do it for every other type of identification type of event. Pride gets so much money funded towards it. So why is the sexual identity of a particular group having a priority to funds over another group who is also vulnerable and sensitive? And I'm not pitting them against each other. In fact, both groups should be equally funded, but one is not. And one is not because it is serving a population in which people are too familiar with just looking to the side and saying, oh, they'll be all right. We won't. So the Bantu Fest organizers in the city of Chicago need to be a little more adamant and serious about providing cultural preservation and cultural awareness of the melanated beings in these cities, and providing access to these events that are affordable. Because if you haven't noticed, the middle class is heading towards depletion. So for all of those who are comfortable with the half and the half nots, okay, I'm not. And just like the famous Fred Hampton and the Panther Party, social services is the way in which we find equity in this country. That's it. That's divine feminine speaking to you. So that's my one critique of the Bantu Fest. It is a huge critique, and I hope that it is improved at some point, as people like myself and organizations are actively trying to bring equity into our community. Now to the stuff that I love. Y'all know Dr. Umar was there, right? I'm such a fangirl. I adore him. I adore everything about Dr. Umar. I love his stance. I love the way he speaks. I love the way he delivers messages. I love the points in which he connects and what is going on in our society. His ability to foresee. He is a great teacher to those who are willing to be a student to him. Because I'm willing to be a student to his counsel and the things, because he has been a very very strong voice of what needs to happen in the city of Chicago. Um, I will also stand in my voice, and everything that he said makes sense. The one point I want to particularly pull out is that the United States government United States government, not just the state of Texas, because you cannot move without the permission of the federal government. Let's make that very clear. Um, has initiated bringing a group of vulnerable people to a city, a geographical area, which they already have a huge vulnerable population, which is the Black American. And you're literally tailoring it to pit two vulnerable populations against each other. And I have no animosity or hatred towards anyone who is migrating here, because just like the beautiful with Love Jigga, who I was on her Over the Hill podcast, please check that out. Justine, she stated if something ever happened in the United States, I would hope that somebody will open up their doors for us. So that's my in my opinion, I love the call that Dr. Umar came into place, but as a woman, as a nurturer, I have no malice for someone who needs help. My malice is with the institutions who are taking it and strategically utilizing that to try to eradicate people who look like me. That ain't gonna go. That I ain't gonna go for. That I'm not with, nor will I sit quietly and take that. So, his point was in that specific issue was that the city of Chicago is literally pulling itself out of a time where, we had the Laquan McDonald trial happen under a mayor who closed, Emmanuel closed most of the mental health institutions within the city of Chicago. We're still dealing with coming underneath the extreme police state in this city of Black Americans, the limited accessing of resources and funds to us. You feel me? So I don't understand after he said that why in particular. So as I evaluate what Dr. Umar stated and some of the things, one of the things being the call to action for Black Americans in the city of Chicago to really be tentative to holding politicians and the government accountable. And that means holding yourself accountable, because the people are the government. The government is not an entity outside of you. You literally make the government. So instead of us bitching and moaning about what they're not giving us, we're going to demand and say this is what we need. And we cannot keep waiting for someone to play a martyr to us. We cannot wait for another Harriet, another Malcolm or Martin. You have to be the Tomorrow. You have to be the Keisha. You have to be the Sean. You got to be, the Tanika. You got to be the one. Every voice counts. So especially for those of us who are coming to our 30s, we have to start making innovative solutions for ourselves, for our elders, and for our youth. And to see two babies come up to the gate of Bantu Fest, and a requirement of them to pay $60 in total to get access to the culture, to get access to a prominent leader and speaking in his presence, when they could have been the next big idea creator, just by having that moment, is heartbreaking to me. And we need to be taking our culture a lot more serious, and the funneling of our tax dollars a little more serious, and to pour into what we need for our community to sustain ourselves. Not someone telling us what we need to sustain ourselves. We actually sustain ourselves based on the opinion in which we want to be with. Okay? I'm rocking, y'all rolling. Got it. Um, Dr. Umar gave the same thing that he normally does. Get up, move, right? But one thing I would like to talk about, and this might be a little spice. Um, the call for Black women to wear their natural hair, and y'all know I love my natural hair. I love wearing my natural hairstyles. And I wear weaves because I'm a creative person. Sometimes I want to look a particular way. I'm not aesthetically trying to look um, like a person of less melanation because I decolonized myself out of that. There was a time where I was doing it subconsciously because of the American socialization of the Black identity, but I don't do that no more. And so when I put weave in my hair, it's for me to create the things that are in my, oh, this is creative for me. Like sometimes I braid my hair, it helps me with my anxiety. And I think a lot of Black women do that, but you don't know, so you know, right? But the call for Black women to reduce our spending on cosmetic things like the hair industry, and I think that's a great point that is made, and hold our Black males accountable for their hierarchy of desirability that they enforce, and he does. And I feel like Dr. Umar sometimes does it at a surface level because he understands the male ego is fragile and he is a male himself. So, what you desire, what you desire. You're attracted to what you attract to. That's a primal thing. And your attraction can be seated and rooted in your oppression. That's the hierarchy of desirability. So if you're going to call for Black women to make this move and moving into what we consider to be a more natural state and putting some of that funds in which we put into the cosmetic industry, more specifically the hair industry, you're gonna have to do a little bit of work about your hierarchy of desirability. Don't tell me you love natural hair and then when I'm in front of you I see different. Now Dr. Umar's not one of them people. I see him I seen him in pictures with women who in their natural state he just adores over them. It's a state of admiration and love and genuineness. But that ain't collectively what the Black male is experiencing. And it's probably gonna take decades to eradicate, but we won't eradicate it unless we talk about it. We won't eradicate texturism unless we talk about it. We won't eradicate texturism unless we talk about it. Because I can tell you one thing for sure: when my hair is braided or locked or tamed and not in the fro, I get a lot more access to pretty privilege than I do with my 4C hair. Now, if my hair was of another texture, I would be considered a 10 out of 10. I am, motherfucker, hold on, pause. I am a 10 out of 10. But what I'm saying is, in our community, we have to be honest about what it is. So, if you're having this expectation for women, specifically Black women, to move into what we consider to be the natural state, you better be psychologically able to handle that move and not think that based off of your socialization. And it's not towards Dr. Umar, this is towards the people who quote him but don't live in what he says. You know who you are. So pro Black but ain't pro Black. Still looking for your light skin prize. Okay. Um, yeah, or your brown skin prize, but her hair got to be a certain texture. Can't be 4C. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I don't like to beat around the bush. I like to get straight and direct to it, and that's why I was in pure bliss listening to Dr. Umar because he didn't cut no corners. And I will say this. As a woman, I was kind of disappointed to see other women, and everybody has their journey, right? But I was kind of disappointed to see other women walking away when he said that. He's just a man with an opinion. If you feel like he's chastising you, then you need to stand in your womanhood and understand what open dialogue is. You know, when men speak, that does not necessarily mean that they're the gospel truth or they're the all be all. You have a right to challenge them. And going back to plugging Over the Hill podcast where we talked about the intelligence, I um literally made it very clear that the divine feminine energy's intelligence is vastly missing in this world. And we have and I say we collectively have carried as women, biological women, so much resentment because we have, for cycles of the human experience for too long, just took the intelligence of the divine masculine as that the only thing. That's the truth. You know, that's the truth. But what happens is we miss the state of nurturing. We miss the idea of collectivism because that's divine feminine energy, the ability to move in community. I'm not saying you should lose your individualistic um identity because that's what makes you unique, but understanding when you need to weave with community in order to do it, to move in things that were going to propel us and safety and stability. That's divine feminine energy. That's an intelligence to innately know that there's a time for me to be an individual and there's a time for me to be a community member. And there needs to be a balance. So, walking away when we have a strong male presence in front of us, giving us strategy does us no good. It's childlike behavior. Someone can only chastise you if you allow them to chastise you. I took no offense to what he said. And I ain't saying you gotta be like me. I'm just saying personally how I felt. I took no offense to what he's saying because when you go into these schools, you see how our children are wearing wigs. There should be no reason why a teenage girl has on a whole fucking wig of another woman's of a race of another woman on her head, baby. I'm sorry. That's just me. As a parent, I would never allow that. Now you can put that synthetic in your hair. You can braid your hair. You can put the ponytail, but you're not putting on no full wig, adultifying yourself. And then this connection, that properness and adultification, the state of being an adult is closer to the proximity of being non-melanated, what we call identify as white. That's crazy. That's crazy. So we all gotta do our work. So those are the 2 points that I wanted to make about the Bantu Fest. That our culture is not to be not to be sold all the time. That some things are bigger than the monetary compensation, and but you don't have to. What I'm saying is find reasonable solutions in order to get the event out. If you are a event person and you're propelling this culture forward and the government is not funding you, then you need to get the community behind you. We want this. We don't know unless we talk to each other. So there should be no misunderstanding on why the Bantu Fest should have received at least some type of funding that sponsored the youth for the city of Chicago, Black American youth, all youth actually, because everybody needs to be exposed to our culture and understand how it has really is deeply seated the identity of American culture, and you won't get it unless you go to there. So it could have been done, or for a lesser price, they could have covered. It could have been done. And why are we doing all of this education? Why are we doing all of this going to business schools and creating these things if we can't even negotiate grants coming to our community? If we can't even get the bureaucracy to bow down to us? And my second point is listening to people like Dr. Umar, moving into act the call of action and understanding your part, and also, not taking anyone's perspective as or strategy as the gospel truth, seeing the parts in which you can help enhance the strategy to propel our community, and also utilizing your own intelligence to come up with innovative solutions. We're in 2023. That's where we should be at right now. Okay. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself at the Bantu Fest. And I met a pretty dope woman. I think I made a friend. Yes, in my 30s at 33 years old, I am still happy about friendship and developing new friends and meeting new people, and also, reestablishing friendships with older relationships, and meeting that person, the newest version of them in a healthy way, and honoring that. So yeah, those are my thoughts and opinions about the Bantu Fest. I hope that this invokes you to engage with your community, whether you're doing it with the alderman, alderwoman, the state representative, um, what else? At your local shelter, um, or at your local nursing home. What else can you do some work at? Going to City Hall petitioning. Gosh, y'all, I have so many petitions that I'm trying to do in the city of Chicago. Sometimes it makes my head explode how bad policy is out here, how oppressive policy is out here, how counter fucking productive policy is out here. We are getting over policed in the city of Chicago when it comes to traffic violations and ticketing, and it's excessive. It's excessive. And they are doing debt imprisonment still. This is bullshit. I digress. Back to what I was saying. Get out there. You're needed. Seriously. Um, Volunteer at your kid's school. Actually see what's going on in that school. Don't get so impressed that someone can discipline a black child because you have criminalized them in your mind based off of American socialization. Yep, I'm going there. These children do not need to be tamed. They need to be loved and have spaces to grow. And we can't help them if we want to recognize in ourselves as adults that we are limiting ourselves. So once we unlimit the boundaries and the boxes in which we can leap for the progression of the Black American community in the city of Chicago, we make a stronger foundation for our children. Okay. Um, to end the notes, and I will be putting the flyer here and here. RVPP Solutions has found a brick and mortar. Yay, 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 yay. So you can catch me at the Mayfield Arts Center, where I will be doing Wellness Wednesdays, pertaining to the things that you normally see me do on such a vibrant thing. We're going to be doing yoga, we're going to be doing meditation, and we're also going to be doing some self-reflection inner work. So this is not going to look like any other session that you probably waiting for. Maybe you have, I don't know. So there are going to be times where the class is tailored and we're going to be meditating together, and then we might move our body. Not might, we will move our body every time. I want to trick you, but I can't lie. We're going to move our body, whether we're going to be doing yoga or some type of low impact cardio or exercise. And then we're going to have conversation. We're going to heal through conversation, because the ability to use your throat chakra in a healthy way is very healing. Okay. So it's going to be hour sessions. I'm going to have 3 1 hour slots every Wednesday to do that. I'm coming in, as I stated before, I gave you guys and ladies. I gave you ladies. I should have said that first. My bad. I gave all of you the warning that I was coming, and I told you don't have a toxic capitalist mentality when I give y'all these prices. So the in-person prices will be $12, and the virtual prices will be $15. Why am I making the prices that way? Because I am tired. I am tired of us reducing the access to materials that we need to heal based solely on a profit. Okay? This is where the policy for grants come into place. This is where the money should be poured into us for that. And I want to expose, which I am doing, that we are very limited in our accesses to government funding to assist us in sustaining our neighborhood. And it ain't a begging thing. This is a requirement based off of the US Constitution and the laws that are in place. We not asking no more. We telling you. In order for us to get to that point of an exposure of what it is, some of us got to go through it. And I don't mind going through it and showing y'all what's really going on and where the money going. You feel me? So we're gonna have Wellness Wednesday. I am also um, in the works of building Freedom Friday, where I'm going to teach our community about pro se. What is pro se? Pro se is self advocacy for yourself, representation within the court system. A lot of people do not know that they can represent themselves if they sit with the time of disputing some of the things like traffic violations and denials of social services like EBT and CETA and mortgage assistant. Things like that are very important, and they can literally be the yes or no on whether someone's going to be stay impoverished. And if you get more esteem when you do it for yourself. And also, I believe pro se is such a beautiful thing because it teaches you exactly what's going on in these institutions. So it's easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to support attorneys. You know, I graduated from law school, but I see the game. And unfortunately, many attorneys in the city of Chicago are overcharging for gatekeeping, because that's all it is. It's gatekeeping. No longer will we continue that. So the more people who are in tune and knowledgeable about how easy reading statutes are, how easy it is for you to advocate for yourself, and also what's really happening that you can't hide behind, oh, I don't know, that you actually walk into these spaces and you combat because things don't make sense to you the way the rules are. The more people we have to change policy, and that's what Freedom Fridays is going to be about. Okay. And also, the second component of the Freedom Fridays is teaching um, inspiration from my time as a substitute teacher, the many institutions of public education I went into, and also listening to Dr. Umar's explanation of the psychological warfare we're experiencing in public education. I will be teaching parents how to invoke your parental rights when your child is on the IEP. It's very simple. You are in charge. You have to understand that you are the vessel in which your child should be receiving their education. It's non-negotiable. We're letting people dictate the stability and the developing of our child's mind in the most toxic fucking way, no matter whether they be melanated or non-melanated. A lot of adults in the public education system are not healthy. They're not healthy, and I'm telling you the truth because of what I experienced there. And it's not to, yes, it is. It's to bring you to alarm. It's to bring you to alarm. And understanding that the more women, biological women who are melanated, who get to rest because they're able to utilize the social services and they're not running back into a 9 to 5 and being colluded with the day-to-day stuff that really is throwing us off track and pushing us into hyper masculine energy, the more y'all gonna wake the fuck up and see what's really been happening. And you're gonna be disgusted. You're gonna be upset and you're going to feel a type of way, but that's okay. Long as that type of way propels you to change some shit. Y'all know how I do. I'm gonna cuss. Because I'm frustrated. It's really giving childlike behavior. And I understand the reason that many of us are undeveloped is because there has been a cushion for us to stay in toxicity. No more. Now I'm bringing two things now to the city of Chicago for us to utilize. One, to help you with wholeness, well-being via Wellness Wednesday, and then the other one, Freedom Friday, to show you how to advocate for yourself. No longer will we be giving 33% of our compensation for someone to hand over to the people that they know and gatekeep. All right. So this is Oyamira signing off from RVPP Solutions. I do thoroughly appreciate you engaging with me on this YouTube channel. Please look out for more and check me out. Like I said, where I'm going to be at the MAC building. And I hope to see a lot of the faces that I talk to via social media, whether it be in person or virtually. But this is the time in which we move. Okay. Have a wonderful day. Blessings from the Orishas. Honor and gratitude to the ancestors. See y'all later. Ashe.